I still can't believe that the Ravens traded their first 1,000-yard receiver since Mike Wallace. When was that? 2017? They traded their first 1,000-yard receiver in who knows how long, right? But they still got a first-round pick out of it. And they built the line off of it. And they built a little defense off of it. Okay, it's starting to sound pretty good. All right, what is going on, good people? Back at it again. Flock Nation Speaks, episode 5 from my boy Joe Flacco. I mean, it's got to be the Joe Flacco episode. It's got to be. Like, the man gonna be in the Ring of Honor one day. He'll probably have his jersey retired. If not, I'm boycotting. I'm telling you, the episode 5, Flock Nation Speaks, the Baltimore Ravens podcast for the best of Ravens fans. And a couple of other people who come in too, the stragglers that come in too, But nonetheless, DJ here, getting ready to talk about this draft, this craziness that we saw at the draft. I remember looking at my phone, right? The handy dandy phone, right? I remember looking at my phone. Nobody says handy dandy anymore. Something's up with that. I remember looking at my phone, seeing Hollywood Brown was traded, and being in shock, frustration, and okay all at the same time. I can't even describe the actual feelings I was feeling because I'm still trying to process the feelings I was feeling, right? But here's my thing, right? I'm feeling okay. I'm feeling okay about the Hollywood situation. But first, we got to have a question of the day. Back when I first started doing YouTube videos, I was doing a dunk of the day. If anybody has known me for a long time, or was able to catch those videos, I'm just gonna let you know. I had a dunk of the day. So of course, in typical DJ fashion, I have a question of the day, right? And I've been doing this. I did Coke versus Pepsi. I did. What was the last one I did? I can't even remember. I did Coke versus Pepsi. That was the first one I did, and then I'm about to do the one today, and then I did another one. What was the other one I did? I don't remember, but these are controversially uncontroversial topics, and I think it's kind of fun to see what you guys say, see what you guys think. Sometimes y'all don't answer, which is fine. Do what you want, right? Do what you want. Sometimes it's strictly business for y'all, and I get that. But today, I gotta know which French fry shape, right? Which French fry is the best, right? You got the shoestring, you got the waffle fry, you got the fresh cut, you got curly fries, and then you got them little like shoestring joints that's like the pre-seasoned ones. What do y'all think, bro? What do y'all think? What is your favorite French fry? Like if you had to pick, like if you sitting here thinking, man, bro, I can only have one French fry for the rest of my life. And I think I'm gonna wait to get into the restaurant aspect of it. Like, I really think I am. I think I'm gonna wait to get into like the restaurant aspect, right? I want to wait to get into like who's got the best fries, like McDonald's, Bojangles, homemade, whatever. I think homemade always wins in that regard, right? If you take the time to make them, I think homemade always wins. But like, for real though, right? Which French fry? I can't even talk today. That's how, like I'm getting hungry, obviously, because the French fries, right? Which fry shape is the best? For me, I go shoestring, right? I go shoestring because, like, and we talking about regardless of place, right? Regardless of where we go, because I don't think you can mess up a shoestring fry. I'm a crispy fry type of a guy, right? I like shoestrings, but I don't like the preseason ones. Like the preseason ones, no. You can't do the preseason ones. You gotta do the regular shoestring, like you put your own salt and pepper on there. It might be salted a little bit. That's the ones I like. Now I do enjoy a good seasoned fry. I'm not gonna lie to you. I have really grown to love a good seasoned fry. Which fry shape do you like the best? And I'll give y'all some time to think, because next week I'll come back with the restaurant, like in terms of which restaurant fry do you like the best. Like we was talking about shapes, because a lot of people like waffle fries too, and I'm like, I just don't understand. Like, let's say I'm Chick-fil-A, I can understand it, but like you try to cook waffle fries at home, it just ain't the same. Like, I'm just saying. But let's talk. Let's talk. Let's talk about the draft, right? The draft, the NFL draft, the Baltimore Ravens. What the heck did they do in the draft? They started out with the craziness of this. I'm gonna put it on your screen just so you can see it, just so you can understand like what I was thinking at the time. Like we see some like this, right? Shout out to ESPN for the graphic. We see, because I'm not good with the jersey swaps. Like some people really good with those. Like they be killing it. Like I'll be like, how y'all be doing these jersey swaps? People at ESPN, they be doing them right. All right. So my thing is with this whole scenario, right? Hollywood Brown gets traded, and I'm shook. I'm not even gonna lie to you. I was shook when I saw that come through. I was shook. I really was. I was sitting here thinking, what is going on? Like, I mean, just look at this. Like this don't even look like it's supposed to be here. This don't even look like Hollywood don't even look good in that red like that though. And I'm a red, red is my favorite color. Like I love that color, right? But Hollywood to the Cardinals, I'm telling you for real, I was shook. Like I was really shook initially. Like I was sitting there like, really, Hollywood to the Cardinals? Like what? I was my first mindset, my first thought was, what are y'all thinking? Right? This is the same guy who had his first 1,000-yard season, right? It's the first 1,000-yard receiver since Mike Wallace back in 2017, right? Mark Andrews came close in 2019. Something tells me Mark Andrews had 1,000 yards last season. Maybe this list is wrong, but anyway, I don't know. I don't remember how many yards Mark Andrews had last season. I really don't remember. But I mean, I'm sitting here and I'm like, oh yeah, he did. He had 1361. That's right in front of my face. He had 1361. So I mean, so you trade one of your top guys, right? You trade one of your top guys as this offense finally starts to evolve a little bit, right? It felt like, the Ravens at one point were top 5 in passing, top 5 in rushing. And I think people bring that up and people are like, why are you bringing that up? And it's like, but it's true. Like at one point, they were able to tread water in both ways, and not only tread water, but be great in both ways. And I know there was some comebacks in there, right? There was some fourth quarter comebacks that allow you to put up yards a little bit. You got to put up yards, or you kind of out of the game at that point. But for me, I was in shock initially, right? I was in shock initially. I didn't truly understand it. I was seriously like, what is going on? Right? Like why, like if the direction that, because I feel like Ravens fans, I think we all can agree on this, right? Flock Nation, we can all agree. We've always felt like the Ravens were one receiver away, one solid receiver. You get Bateman last year. You pair him up with Hollywood Brown. You get Hollywood Brown goes off. Mark Andrews finally, he's coming into age. He goes off. I mean, you add Bateman to that fold, and of course, if you can add Duvernay in there a little bit more, Prochet in there a little bit more, I mean, I think we all were feeling like, okay, and then potential Tylan Wallace too. Like there was talent there. Even like before the draft, I was like, I'm seeing like, the back and forth. Did the Ravens need a receiver? Did the Ravens not need a receiver? Did the Ravens need a receiver? Did the Ravens not need a receiver? And I was always of the essence of my mindset was, hey, you can't never have too much, never too much, never too much, right? You can never have too much talent, right? I mean, I'm sure Tyler Boyd wants the ball a little bit more, but I'm sure Tyler Boyd to take winning over getting the ball right now, right? If the Bengals were to go to the Super Bowl and win it, let's just say they won that last Super Bowl, he gonna be fine with that, right? So that's my thing, though. My thing was, how do you, right? How do you trade one of your number one targets? Like I mean, I think Hollywood was top 5 in targets in the league. If I'm not mistaken, something like that, right? He was like top 5 in targets, top 5, top 10, something like that. He was upper echelon when it came to targets, but also he was like top 5 in drops. I think he was top 10 in targets, top 5 in drops, something like that. Which I mean, is a statement and a stat within itself. So they trade him. I was hurt, like in terms of like I was frustrated, but then I don't even want to say it came to my senses because it's still, I think losing Hollywood is still a big loss. I don't think Hollywood ever truly reached his potential with the Ravens. Like I think Hollywood had really good potential with the Ravens. I think he's shown flashes of being good. He's shown flashes of being a guy, he may not be the typical prototypical number one receiver, but he's shown flashes of being a guy who can make plays time and time again. So for me, I was a little shook. But then, we look around, right? We look around and we look at what they got out of it, right? Which was more so Kyle Hamilton was already picked. But if I'm not mistaken, I know they got Tyler Lindenbaum out of it, and I think they got 2 of those 4th round picks out of it. If I'm not mistaken, it might have been all of these guys on the screen right now. I can't remember right off, to be honest with you. But at the same time, I felt like the Ravens did a good job with what they had, right? Like, given what they just gave up, like let's just think about it. They gave up a guy who was 1,000-yard receiver, right? No matter how you want to put it, he had 1,000 yards last year, right? He didn't beat out Mark Andrews for the 1362, but he had 1,000 yards last season. And I want to say, and he dropped like 2 or 3 touchdowns. I know for a darn fact, that probably was just in the Lions game by itself, right? Like, and plus you didn't have Hollywood. I didn't have Hollywood. You didn't have Lamar, right? You didn't have Lamar. So that causes a dip in production anyway. I don't care what anybody says about Lamar. He can't throw this, that, and the third. Not having Lamar Jackson on the field causes a dip in production anyway. And especially for Hollywood, because Huntley had more of a chemistry with Bateman, because they're both younger and they both run those reps and stuff like that. But he had more of a chemistry with Bateman than he did with Hollywood. So I'm gonna be honest, like Huntley missed Hollywood a couple times, just in general. So like for me, like in terms of seeing Hollywood go, like I hate to see him go because I don't think you can ever have too much talent. And I think even still, like, given what the Ravens picked up out of the draft, and I'll talk about it here in a second, but given what the Ravens picked up out of the draft, I personally believe that they still need a receiver or 2, maybe, right? They're picking up undrafted free agents as we speak, right? There's probably another one on the roster right now, right? Some guys with a lot of potential, but at the same time, I feel like the receiving core is in good hands, right? Prochet, we know Prochet can catch anything you throw at him, right? Duvernay, honestly, bro, Duvernay probably got the same potential as Hollywood, and he's a little bigger, right? And that's not to say anything about smaller receivers. That's just me. That's just saying, like, okay, Duvernay's bigger. Maybe he can take the physicality a little bit more. Hollywood was not the most physical guy by any means, right? Hollywood would slide out of bounds, super quick, slide down super quick. He took a little more contact this season, and I think that's honestly why he had a better season. I think he had bulked up a little bit, but like, also we got to remember too, Hollywood didn't work out with Bateman and Prochet. I think it was Bateman, Prochet. I think Duvernay was out there too, right? You remember Lamar was working out, once he got back right on that ankle, Lamar was working out with the receivers. and everybody was like, why is Hollywood not there? Why is Hollywood not there? And now it makes sense, right? Now it makes sense why Hollywood wasn't there, right? Hollywood had something in the works on the back end, right? He had something in the works to get out of Baltimore. And I mean, I don't think it's going. It might reap benefits for him in the numbers perspective, but I think in terms of success as a team, I think of course adding talent in any way makes Arizona better, but Arizona gonna have to get over the mental hump too, right? It's the same issue. They're having the same issue really that the Ravens are having in the playoffs, right? It's the mental aspect of it, not playing your game when you get to the biggest stage. Arizona got to learn that too. So when you go back and you look, right? We'll pull it up one more time. You go back and you look, right? Of course, Hamilton making that. I mean, let's break it down from just what the Ravens did in the draft. Defensively, first things first, right? Defensively, the Ravens got just so much better. Like, I mean, not even to mention Marcus Williams. So you put Marcus Williams and Kyle Hamilton on the back end. If they keep Chuck Clark, I've heard trade talks potentially, right? Chuck Clark might be in the trade wheel. That's not a thing, but he might be on the trade block, right? So with that being said, that puts Kyle Hamilton out there day one, right? And then that puts Marcus Williams, two new safeties out there, right? They drafted a corner too, if I'm not mistaken. Demarion Williams. I'm pretty sure I heard some good things about him, if I'm not mistaken, right? I'm pretty sure. And then David Ajabo. It's gonna take me a minute to get these names. They got some names this year, okay? David Ajabo. I've heard very good things. I've heard he probably won't see the field per se this season because he had a late injury. I think it was back in March actually. He had one of them injuries is gonna keep you out for 9 to 12 months. So it's gonna take him a minute, but I think the combination of him and Oweh, I think sometimes Ravens fans forget, like, it's not to say that you should focus on defense too much, because don't get me wrong, I'm in the same camp. I'm sitting here thinking, why did we go get Kyle Hamilton, right? We already got Chuck Clark. I'm not saying Chuck Clark's the greatest the greatest in coverage or nothing, but we already got Chuck Clark, okay? We already got Marcus Williams. Like, we good, okay? We good on the defensive end. We've been top 5 and top 10 as long as they stay healthy, right? Why do we need defense? But at the same time, the balance of it, right? We're talking about the balance of it. The balance of it is what's going to be crucial for the Ravens. And I think they got better on both sides of the ball. We're going to talk about offense here in a second. Defensively, just to continue on that point, defensively, I mean, to have Ajabo and Oweh rushing the passer, and even the guys who are already on the line too. You got to, we can't forget about those guys already, right? Pair them with those, Bowser when he comes back, right? Who is not on the line, but you know what I'm saying. Bowser when he comes back, Derek Wolfe, potentially, right? Calais this season too, right? So, I mean, you got guys, and I can see them because they got Ajabo. I can see them. I feel like I'm butchering his name, Ajabo, because they got my boy Dave from Michigan, right? Because they got him, I think they could honestly let Oweh really tee off rushing the passer a little bit more once those two get in the same lineup, right? I think that'll be huge. Of course, with PQ and Josh Bynes right now, right? We'll see what they do in terms of trying to figure out potential future plans for the middle linebacker position, because they, of course, they play a 3-4, but I think they're trying to get like the best athletes on the field too. A lot of speed, a lot of hard hitting. It seems like, and like, having Kyle Hamilton and Marcus Williams on the back end is going to be good. Adding in Williams for a little bit of corner depth, of course. Demarion Williams, adding him in for a little bit of corner depth too, I think is huge, right? I think that's a huge step in the right direction. Now, could they have decided to not grab Jordan Stout in the draft and get him, as an undrafted free agent, possibly, because it's not very often that punters get drafted. I don't know the stat on that, but I've never really seen, and maybe it's just because they're not talked about a lot if they do get drafted. But I've heard a lot of good things about Stout. You already got Sam Cook, and it could just be, Sam Cook's ready to hang it up, and they know more than what I know, right? I think sometimes we want to say, well, why did they draft Jordan Stout? You just never know, right? Sam Cook might be ready to hang it up for real. He might just be ready to hang it up, and that might just be, the nature of the beast. So they just, decided to grab, Stout when they could with all, since they had all them 4th round picks anyway. And then, Isaiah Likely, I've heard he's, and I know that I'm getting on the offensive end now, but, with him being more versatile as a tight end, he could stretch out and play wide receiver too. Wide receiver also, I should say. So I think back to the defense, because I don't want to get too much into the offense yet, because I'm about to. But back to the defense, from what I've heard and what I've seen, this could be a top defense again. And they only got better, and they're gonna get healthier. And I think that's huge, right? Because now you got guys on the back end who gonna go make a play on the ball. And that's no offense to Deshaun Elliott or Chuck Clark by no means. But now you got guys who gonna go make plays on the ball. They ball hawks, and they're gonna hit you too. So I think that's huge. Then on the offensive end, it's the give and take, right? Would I want to give up a guy who is touted as the Ravens' number 1 receiver, but I don't think necessarily even Ravens fans felt like he was the true number 1 receiver. Like, I think we felt like Bateman coming into this season was going to be the true number 1, right? We've always been looking for somebody to kind of step up and make the jump ball play, step up and, even get a little bit of yards after the catch too. So it really makes me think. Losing Hollywood, right? Looking at the draft board again, is losing Hollywood worth grabbing a center in Tyler Linderbaum? And the best center in the draft is what I've heard, right? I've heard Tyler Linderbaum was the best center in the draft, not just a center, the best center in the draft, right? So grabbing Tyler Linderbaum, right, with that pick, with the main, the main 1st round pick you got out of trading Hollywood, grabbing David Ojabo to make sure that your pass rush is going to be on from now on. Okay, well, once he gets on the field from then on, right? That's huge. I think grabbing him, to help rush the passer is going to be big, and you're getting younger at pass rusher, right? McPhee ain't going to last but for so long. I love McPhee, but I mean, and McPhee knows that, right? McPhee ain't going to last but so long. Like the Derek Wolfs of the world ain't going to last but so long, especially given the injury history so far. Calais ain't going to last but so long. So you got to have guys who you can put in the trenches and get after the passer. So I think Ojabo is more of a future investment than he is right now per se investment. Right. Daniel Falele, I think he's a tackle, if I'm not mistaken. And I've heard comparisons between him and Orlando Brown. So to get a guy who possibly, I think it was all NFL 22 cuts, I think it was, does a lot of film breakdown stuff. He was talking about how Falele could be a Orlando Brown type, right? So you kind of get what you were missing from Orlando last year, you get that back. So that is huge for the offensive line, right? Because and the Ravens picked 2 tight ends, so maybe they're going back to that 3, more that 3 tight end set type thing. Maybe that's Nick Boyle, maybe he's ready to hang it up too. I mean, I'm sure last season was a rough season, but because I think we forget too, like nobody's pushing Nick Boyle out of the door. But at the same time, like we didn't want to see Dennis Pitta go either, right? Dennis Pitta was an absolute beast, who I don't think even got a chance to really even truly make his mark like he really wanted to. So Dennis Pitta is another one of those guys where, he had to hang it up sooner than he wanted to. So maybe Nick Boyle is thinking, he might be thinking, about his future too, like 1 or 2 years down the road, or maybe thinking about going to get paid somewhere else, for more of his blocking skill or to be utilized more as a receiver too. You never know. So, to have the two tight ends with Likely and Kolar. I think that could be the Ravens trying to get back to their original style, right? But also, if you have tight ends that are versatile, you have tight ends that can work as receivers, that are athletic. Isaiah Likely reminds me a little bit of like a Kyle Pitts in a way, a guy who you can put out at receiver and have no issue with it, right? Yeah, nobody's gonna be like, what? Nobody's gonna give him the Patrick Ricard in the slot treatment. So Isaiah Likely is a guy who could be a very versatile piece, in the receiving puzzle for the Ravens. So I think, and they got Tyler Batty too. That's one where it was probably best player available. And I don't understand why you wouldn't go get a receiver at that point. Maybe it was too late in the draft. Probably so, right? Maybe it's putting pieces together to make a potential trade, or something like that. I don't know. That's one where I'm like, I don't always like best player available, because that's how the Sixers ended up with 5 centers in one season. So that's just me, right? So I'm not a huge fan, right? I know all about best player available. And if it makes sense, I'm cool with it. If it doesn't, stop it. So I think offensively, once again, let's go back to it, right? You get Ronnie Stanley back at left tackle, right? Of course, Tyler Lindenbaum, takes that center spot that was left off by Bozeman, who had his ups and downs last year, right? You go Ben Cleveland, at left guard. And then, and they got depth at offensive line too, Morgan Moses being out there too. And McCarry is a guy who, you can step in and put him literally at any position and he going to play. He going to ball. Like the dude probably deserves a starting spot just because he going to ball. Like, he going to show up. So then, so you got Stanley, right? Cleveland, potentially McCarry in there somewhere, right? Lindenbaum. I don't know why I'm going this way and then this way. But anyway, I should do it this way, right? Lindenbaum, right? And then you got Zeitler. Zeitler didn't, and I think Zeitler's forgotten about, but Zeitler didn't give up 1 sack last year. So Zeitler's a huge part. And then, of course, you put my boy Falalia out there, right? At right tackle, and then and still with the depth of it, Morgan Moses, Tyree Phillips, it's one guy I'm missing. McCarry. I don't know why I keep missing him, but McCarry. There's depth everywhere, bro. There's so much depth on the offensive line, which is huge because injuries happen, and it's huge just because offensive linemen get tired too, right? You need, especially in the scheme that the Ravens run, that's very aggressive, push you backwards type of a scheme. It can get like that. So I think the Ravens just overall just got better, and with the punter too. If there's writing on the wall with Sam Cook, let's see what happens. I still think, and I'll probably do a short about this one. Just more content to get out to you guys. But I still think that the Ravens are potentially going after a wide receiver. It could be Debo. It could be DK. But in my opinion, knowing the Ravens track record, I know the Ravens, right? Like, I know how the Ravens operate, right? The Ravens are the type of team that they're going to go out and get the veteran guy. So I'm feeling like, let me look real quick. I'm feeling like the Ravens are probably going to go get a veteran receiver. That's what I'm feeling. I'm feeling like the Ravens are going to go get a veteran receiver. And if the Ravens go get a veteran receiver, I think this is for anybody. I think this is anybody, any team who needs a receiver. Julio Jones is a steal right now because he's going to go for less money than he did at Tennessee. And I honestly think there's more in the tank for Julio Jones. Julio Jones is a steal. Of course, you got Odell. Of course, you got Jarvis, right? There are options. And if the Ravens want to go the veteran route, I think this is the best time to do it. A short will be coming out on the wide receiver position for the Ravens, coming out very soon. Maybe tomorrow. Might give y'all a little bit of a break and let it out on Friday. It's crazy. It's Thursday already, ain't it? Tomorrow is Thursday. That's crazy. But anyway, as always, hope you guys enjoyed. We'll see you guys on the next episode of Flock Nation Speaks. Want to let y'all know, of course, you can always watch us, listen to us us, me, watch me, listen to me, on Spotify, Apple Podcast, YouTube, everywhere where you need to be. We there, okay? We there. Anyway, as always, hope you guys enjoyed. Still, leave your Mount Rushmore. That was last week's episode, but leave your Mount Rushmores in the comments for your favorite team, whether you're a Ravens fan, whether you're not a Ravens fan. NFL Mount Rushmore. I ain't heard that one yet. Throw that one out there too. As always, hope you guys enjoyed. DJ, I'm signing off. Until